The desert of Karis, 9 was not meant for life. Its red dunes stretched endlessly beneath a copper sky, scorched by twin suns that rose and set with merciless precision. Winds screamed across the plains like living things, stripping moisture from anything foolish enough to breathe too deeply. Even the native species of the planet avoided this region, calling it the open grave. Elias Ward stood alone at the edge of it. His survey rover hummed softly behind him, sensors pinging warnings across his wrist display. Extreme heat. Biological risk. Mission limit exceeded. He should have turned back hours ago. The Interstellar Mining Consortium that paid him had strict rules. Observe, record, retreat. No heroics. No interference. Then his scanner chirped again. A biological signature. Faint. Erratic. Non-human. Elias frowned. Nothing lived out here. Not for long. He adjusted the scanner, filtering out thermal distortion. The signal pulsed weakly beneath the dunes, near a half-collapsed rock formation. He hesitated, fingers tightening around the strap of his respirator. "Damn it," he muttered. Protocol screamed at him to log the anomaly and leave. But something about the signal bothered him. It wasn't animal. The pattern was too organized, too desperate. He shut down the warning alarms and walked toward the rocks. He found her half buried in the sand. First, Elias thought she was dead. Her body lay twisted at an unnatural angle, long limbs trembling faintly. Her skin was pale blue, cracked and flaking from dehydration. Decorative armor, once elegant, was shattered and scorched, its symbols scraped away as if someone had deliberately erased her identity. Alien. Female by human classification. And barely alive. Her chest rose and fell in shallow, uneven spasms. One of her eyes was swollen shut. The other fluttered open weakly as Elias approached. It was a deep violet, glossy with pain and fear. He tried to move. Failed. A soft, broken sound escaped her throat. Not a word, but close enough to tear something inside Elias's chest. "Oh no," he whispered, kneeling beside her. Hey, don't move. You're okay. I've got you." She didn't understand his language. He knew that. But her eye locked onto his visor, and something shifted in her expression. Confusion, then disbelief. Humans didn't come here. No one did. Elias scanned her quickly. Multiple fractures. Severe dehydration. Internal bleeding. Whatever had happened to her, she hadn't simply collapsed. She'd been left. His rover beeped again. Warning. Medical evacuation not authorized. Corporate liability. He silenced it with a sharp gesture. If he reported this, the company would send drones. Maybe. Or they'd decide the cost wasn't worth a single alien life. Karis, 9 wasn't part of any major alliance. No political fallout. No profit. She would die waiting. Elias swallowed hard. "All right," he said quietly. "All right. We're doing this." Getting her into the rover nearly killed him. Her species was taller and denser than humans, built for higher gravity. Every movement strained Elias's muscles as heat clawed at his lungs. The suns beat down mercilessly, sweat pooling inside his suit. She cried out when he lifted her. An instinctive panic sound, and her hand shot out, gripping his arm with surprising strength. Her touch burned cold. "It's okay," Elias gasped. "I won't drop you. I promise." He didn't know why he said that. Promises meant nothing in the desert. But her grip loosened just a little. Inside the rover, Elias stripped off his gloves and worked fast, administering fluids, stabilizing fractures with emergency gel, sealing wounds as best he could. Alien physiology was a gamble, but doing nothing was a certainty. As he worked, she watched him. Not with fear anymore. With confusion. Why was he helping her? When the rover finally lifted off, its engines screaming in protest as Elias pushed it beyond safety limits, she lost consciousness. Elias didn't relax until her breathing evened out. Only then did the fear hit him. He had violated protocol, risked his contract, risked his life. If the company tracked his detour, and they would, he'd be finished. Fine. Blacklisted. Possibly arrested for unauthorized first contact interference. He leaned back in the pilot's seat, staring at the stars bleeding into view as they climbed. Worth it, he murmured, though his hands shook. She woke 3 days later. Not in the desert, but in a quiet medical bay aboard Elias's ship, a battered independent freighter he used for off-grid work. The lights were dim, the air cool. She stirred, then froze. Memories crashed into her. Betrayal, pain, heat, the endless sand. Her hand twitched toward where her weapon should have been. She tried to sit up and gasped as pain flared through her side. Easy, a voice said gently. She turned her head. The human stood nearby, unarmored now, dark circles under his eyes. He raised both hands slowly, palms open. You're safe, he said. I won't hurt you. She didn't understand the words, but she understood the posture. Submission. Respect. Her people did not show such vulnerability lightly. She studied him carefully. Smaller than her species, softer. Yet his eyes held a steadiness she recognized from seasoned warriors. She spoke at last, voice hoarse, translator implant crackling weakly. Why? The word emerged broken but recognizable. Elias blinked. Your translator's working. Why save me? He hesitated, then shrugged awkwardly. Because you were dying. Her frill trembled, a sign of emotional disturbance. That is not reason. It is to us, he replied simply. She searched his face, looking for deception. For none. My name, she said slowly, is Salith of the Varelian High Guard. Elias exhaled softly. Elias Ward. Human. Bad decision-maker. For the first time since the desert, her lips curved slightly. Salith recovered slowly. As her strength returned, so did the weight of her memories. She had been betrayed by her own command, accused of political disloyalty, stripped of rank and left to die in the desert as an example. Among the Varelians, mercy toward the disgraced was considered weakness. Humans, she learned, did not share that belief. Elias brought her water personally, sat with her when nightmares jolted her awake, asked questions, not about strategy or secrets but about her. What the symbols on her armor had meant. What food she preferred. What the stars of her homeworld looked like. You shouldn't have done this, she told him one night. Saving me has consequences. He nodded. Yeah, I figured. You may lose everything. He smiled faintly. Already lost worse. When Varelian patrol ships finally intercepted Elias's freighter, weapons charged, Salith stood beside him, unarmed but unbowed. She spoke before they could. She told them what the human had done. How he had crossed a deathland no one else would. How he had defied his own people's laws to save an enemy. How he had shown compassion where her culture showed only judgment. The Varelians listened. And something changed. In the cycles that followed, Salith's testimony spread across Varelian space. Philosophers debated it. Warriors questioned old doctrines. Civilians whispered of the strange human who had risked everything for someone who meant nothing to him. Slowly, exile laws were reconsidered. Honor codes rewritten. The desert was declared forbidden, not as a place of punishment, but as a memorial. Years later, when humans and Varelians signed their first alliance treaty, Salith stood at the ceremony, her restored armor gleaming. Elias stood beside her, wearing a simple jacket, uncomfortable with the attention. "You changed us," she said quietly. He shook his head. "I just didn't walk away." She smiled. "Sometimes that is enough to change the galaxy." And for the first time, humanity was known among the stars not for its weapons, but for its heart.